Anointed Warriors. What's up, spiritual family? Welcome back to Mount Fitness MBS Ministry. I'm your host, Brother Mongoose. I am a minister, a philosopher, and a teacher. I am promoting a holistic approach to health, to wellness, to life, and to running the race that He has set before us. It's the belief of this ministry that when we're operating at a premium in our minds, our bodies, and our spirits, that makes us more capable, more potent, and more efficient when it comes to being used by Him in this thing that we call kingdom building. So this ministry takes a holistic mind, body, and spirit approach to the aforementioned things. This holistic approach consists of beliefs and actual services, as well as information that's designed to nourish and strengthen the mind, body, and spirit by way of experiential philosophy for the mind, ISSA certified fitness training for the body, and clean-hearted spiritual teachings and practices for the spirit and for the soul. Additional services provided by this ministry that also fall up under the holistic mind, body, and spirit approach consist of good old-fashioned motivational speaking, as well as youth and young adult mentoring and counseling. I'm going to leave a link down in the description if you have any questions, if you have any interest in the services. Look for that email link down in the description. Please know that this ministry is supported and funded by viewers like you. And so to give back to this ministry, if you get any benefit from this ministry, from these messages whatsoever, give back by please subscribing to the channel if you aren't already subscribed, hitting the share button and the thumbs up button. Also, of course, hit the bell icon if you'd like to receive a notification every time I upload a new message. And if you're interested in making a monetary donation to this ministry, I'm going to leave a Cash App link down in the description as well. With that being said, know that I do appreciate, I value all of you guys, all of the love and all of the support. And with that, I'll take right off into today's topic. This is a chapter 4, and we're trying to conclude this particular message or subject matter of being under, of acknowledging, of embracing the truth of the matter that those of us who are the 144,000 have been and currently are under 24-hour consistent, constant monitoring and surveillance. You're being tracked wherever you go. This is the truth about it. We've been tracked since we were born. I've made some 3 previous videos. Please check those out. A lot of information that kind of sets the table for this chapter here. So the 144,000 are under complete and total 24/7, 365 monitoring and surveillance. And those of you guys that may be amongst my spiritual family members that make up the great multitude, you guys are under surveillance as well. Just depends on what degree of anointing and what the level of assignment He has for you. But if you carry this light in any degree to what we would say, not to such a massive extent, but you're going to see heaven, you're living a holy, consecrated life, just depending on what degree or what purpose He has for your life, you may be under surveillance where they just, set up shop around you or send people into your life, or a co-worker on the job just to assess your behavior, how you're doing, how you're progressing, your conduct, your mannerism, just to assess you, make note of that, and then keep it moving. So the more of the assignment, the divine responsibility that's on your life, that determines the extent of the surveillance. So again, that's kind of the gist of the opening of this, what we're looking to be the final chapter in this particular topic. In the most recent chapter, chapter 3, I talked about it's, who you're up against, the demonic forces, the psychic powers and capabilities that are being developed by world government. Yes, they use it in warfare against one another, but they also use it in warfare on its citizens, particularly the citizens that they believe has a certain anointing and a certain calling on their life to help bring down this demonic system, world government, by way of our actions, our deeds, our conduct in terms of love and faith and courage and wisdom and compassion, forgiveness, all of those things. So we're up against this system, and we talked about the fact that this system has the power to, you've seen it or you've heard about it, depending on when you were born, kill presidents. This governmental power doesn't care about who you are. It'll take down Martha Stewart and Bill Cosby. It'll take out Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and both of the Kennedy brothers. So we talked about that. This is the reach of this world government. And so we talked about how there's no need to be afraid of that. Now, acknowledging that and embracing that is strengthening and liberating, because you're forced to have to rely on him. And that's his purpose all along. In our health, in our finances, in our trials, in our tribulations, all of these things, we have to realize that we can only get victory through him. So there's no need to fear. It's a need, it's a call to celebrate that and to realize your power, your potential, and your authority as a carrier of his light. You've been gifted, you've been blessed with power and authority over the enemy, and the enemy knows that. The enemy is seeking to get you to not become aware of that, or become aware of that, but to become aware of that and simultaneously become fearful of that. Hey, these people can kill the president. They can go overseas and kill leaders and all these different things. What shot do I have? These people can ruin, reputations. They could sabotage businesses. They could end relationships and all these different things. What chance do I have? The enemy is counting on you to quit on yourself based on fear or the lack of knowledge. His ultimate purpose of revealing these truths to you is so that you can embrace the fact that you have to be totally dependent on him. Now let's talk real quickly about who's watching you. We already know it's the government. It's the government, the same people that were informed when and where Christ would be born. And Christ said that you and me, being his spiritual brothers and sisters, we would perform even greater miracles than he did. And the powers that were in those days, they feared him, sought to sabotage his reputation, relationships, finances, and ultimately his life. That same government, the same elements, the same principles or lack of principles, I should say, but the same thing that world government back then that assassinated Christ, the same thing that made them who they were, is the same government today. They've become even more demented, even more demonically possessed, even more committed to wiping out things like authenticity and faith and individuality and true wisdom and courage. So this is who is actually watching you. The good news about it is that you're also being watched by his heavenly angels, just as Christ was. Yes, there were people out to assassinate him. Yes, there were people out to deceive him, to betray him. But yes, he was also divinely guided and divinely protected. He laid down his life. When they came to get him in the Garden of Yosemite, the first thing he did was release the power, and just like that, the first wave of soldiers who came fully armed, who came with their helmets and their spears and their swords and all these things, and they tried to take him, the first thing he did was initiate and release a spiritual power from within. Boom. And they all fell flat on the ground. That's in your Bible. So he made it clear to them, like, hey, listen, man, you're not here to take my life. But he made it clear to them that he was there to lay down his life. And he told them he could call on a legion of angels that could be right there in a second and wipe him out and wipe them out. But he was here to lay down his life. He came as a lamb. He's returning as a lion. The spirit of that lion is within you. And this is why you have been under 24 hours monitoring and surveillance. Again, check out the previous 3 videos. That'll give you a little bit more details in that regard. But this who is watching you. This government uses all means at its disposal to keep you blinded, to disturb you, to distract you, to intimidate you, to confuse you, to keep you in a state of unfamiliarity with yourself and what's taking place in your life. Some of these things include, of course, the financial system, and of course, friends and family members. There are people in your lives. There's always been people in your lives. Again, whether it's in your own family, you know, let's not play these games, guys. The good book says that a man's own household will become his enemies. The enemies of a man will be his own household. Let's not toy around with this, guys. We can't pick and choose on what we believe when it's in the Bible. You either believe the Bible or you don't. And whether it's the Bible, the Quran, some of the ancient, Vedics and teachings, the mystics, philosophers, shamans, you either believe what they said in its entirety or you don't. So the good book says that. And so the powers that of the demonic world government, they've infiltrated your life. They've set up camp around your life, and they've used people like friends and family and co-workers and neighbors and rude people that seemingly just show up at the supermarket. This is not paranoia. This information, these truths, are for those whose eyes have been opened for such a cause and for such a purpose. The good book doesn't say let those see who have eyes. It said let those who have the eyes to see, let them see. So this information, this message is not for everybody. Not everybody is going to even be aware of this, let alone gravitate towards it. Pardon me. And yet the truth remains. There are people in your lives that's praying, that's hoping for your downfall, that have very consciously committed themselves to your downfall, to deceiving you, to disrupting and stagnating your spiritual growth, to disrupting and stagnating your financial income, your relationships, your reputation. These are facts of the matter, guys. But ultimately, when you realize that, you simultaneously begin to realize that it's up to him. He is with you. Why else would they be so committed to focus on you, to monitor you, to study you, to track you, to seek to destroy you, to seek to dissuade you, to seek to rob you of your common sense, to seek to have you submerged into despair? Why else? So when you become aware of these truths, you also remember you also become aware of the fact that the only reason this could be is because you hold something, you represent something, you carry something that's so magical, that's so powerful, that's so beautiful, so precious, and so rare that the dark forces cannot afford to allow you to realize that, because the moment you do, then you become committed to this thing we call kingdom building, and you share your knowledge, you share your experience, your experiences, you encourage others, you pray for others, you inspire others, and the powers that be only want what they already have, which is more power. They don't want you or me or the general population having any power. There's people in your lives that, if you've heard me say this once, you've heard me say it 1,000 times. There's people in your lives that accepted the offer. Now, what do I mean by that? We all know that when Christ was in the wilderness and he was hungry, he hadn't eaten or drinking anything. He was out there for 30, 40 some days. Whenever the enemy appeared to him, and the enemy appeared to him and said, hey man, look man, if you who you say you is, then turn this bread, turn this stone into bread and eat. This is the enemy. This is analogous to the enemy. This is a metaphor for the enemy saying, hey, look, if you're so blessed, if you're so anointed, and you're so protected, how come your finances are this way? How come some of you guys may have health issues? Why is that so? Why is your relationships falling apart? Why is everybody, betraying you? Why is your reputation like this if you're so blessed, if you're so anointed? This is the enemy trying to get you to fall off into that where you feel like you have to prove something or you begin to doubt yourself. It would have been easy for Christ to say, you know what, as a matter of fact, why am I this hungry? But instead, he refused and stayed true to the course, to the path that was predestined to him. You need to do the same. That's what this is all about. But if you don't know, then you'll be like some of the people in your life, and most of the people in society, they accepted that offer. They're consumed with arrogance. They're consumed with ignorance. They're consumed with being committed to ignorance, even though it's open, even though it's blatant, even though it's a conscious choice for them to remain ignorant. I know it sounds strange, I know it sounds weird, but people have consciously made that choice because knowledge is power, but also knowledge is painful. The truth hurts. So people would rather run for that and consciously choose to be ignorant. So some people accepted that offer and they chased the finances, they chased the relationships, they chase ignorance. They chase being in concert, lockstep with the in vogue culture. Christ declined the offer, and so did you. Now just keep walking it out through and through. The enemy also took Christ up into the heavens and said, hey man, look man, all of these kingdoms, he showed him all the kingdoms of the earth and said, you know what, you can have all this if you'll just bow down and worship him. This is what the enemy told Christ. Do you notice that Christ didn't say, hey man, look, these are my Father's kingdom. You can't give me something that's already mine. You can't give me something that's not yours. Christ never said that. There's a reason why he never said that. That reason is in biblical scripture that says that this world was handed over to the wicked. The government, the underlying essence of the majority of the spiritual energies that's going to and fro in the land. Ever since the fall of the garden, this has been a fallen place. The entire earth has fallen. All of mankind has fallen, but people like you and me and all of us who carry the light are anointed to restore balance and to sit back patiently and endure until a time that he has predetermined for us to rise again and restore that balance, and with the ultimate blow to the demonic system coming in the form of him making his great return. So all the powers and the ability to track you, to stalk you, to prod you and poke you and see what makes you tick and how you're going to respond to that and where your faith continues to come from, all the powers and the trickery and chicanery of the enemy is a result of the enemy having control of this world. But Christ told him, no, man, man shall not live off of bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. So man should not live based on his reputation, his money, how well he's doing or how not well he's doing. And he declined the offer. But a lot of people in your lives, just like a lot of people or majority of the people in society, they accepted the offer. They didn't decline the offer. They accepted the offer. To have more money. Some of them are literally being paid to irritate you, to agitate you, to stifle or stifle and delay your spiritual growth and your spiritual evolution. Like some of them literally get monetary perks and benefits for that. They get the job that they wanted. They get I don't want to get too far, because a lot of it, man, I just want to stay here. But there's all kinds of perks that they get. They've sold their souls. Some consciously, some unconsciously. Some very abruptly and wholeheartedly, some very tacitly. But they've sold their soul. They see what happens to people like you and me. People who aren't afraid to be courageous. People who aren't afraid to be humble. People who aren't afraid to be forgiving. People who aren't afraid to boldly hold people accountable when he says we need to hold them accountable. They've sold their soul. They stand unapologetically against that. So I'm going to conclude this series on that note. God's angels are with you. They've always been with you. He's for you. He's not against you. Look at everything that you're enduring now. Look at everything that no matter how emotionally challenging or psychologically frustrating or physically demanding, you still haven't joined that system. You still haven't surrendered your soul. That's because of him. And the more and more you don't surrender your soul, then the more and more the powers that be will come in and try to influence you, to try to convince you, to try to trick you and manipulate you into surrendering your soul. You know what? Just be bitter like everybody else. You know what? Just be filled with lust like everybody else. You know what? Just be a racist with the rest of your family upbringing and lineage. Just be a thug with the rest of your family's upbringing and lineage. Just be a sellout and be a backstabber and a disingenuous people like everybody else. Let your love, let your heart wax cold like everybody else. But you refuse to do that. That's because of him. So at the apex of this message is wisdom, is strength, is courage, and it's enlightenment. Because as I said in all of the previous videos, if you don't know who you are, then what chance do you have at anything in life? If you don't know who you are, then the moment society changes, the moment you get a whim in your heart to do this, to cheat on your spouse, to spend your money, chasing girls or chasing men, or to backstab somebody on the job to get that promotion, whenever that whim takes place, if you don't have the strong footing and understanding of who you are, then that whim will just take you to and fro. So you must know, guys. You got to know that there's an unseen hand that is committed to keeping you from realizing who you are, and in turn realizing how the enemy is working against you, so that you can in turn realize that you have to depend solely on him, so that you can in turn realize your power and your God-given assignment. That's what's at the crux of this message, guys. I trust and I wholeheartedly pray that this series has been beneficial to you, that it's been uplifting, eye-opening to you. If you have any questions, guys, if you're interested in the services, if you have any material that you'd like for me to put forth my 2 cents on, whatever the case may be, that link for the email is in the description. Go ahead and schedule your initial consultation and evaluation. Put forth those pointers, whatever it may be, but you do have access to the email address. Also, please visit the physical fitness branch of the ministry located at mountfitnessmbs.com. That'll give you some information and insight into my experience and my expertise. Also, guys, please, again, this ministry is supported and funded by viewers just like you. No amount of a monetary donation is too small. I'm going to leave a link down in the description for that. The couple of seconds that it takes you to say, hey, I appreciate that. Give the video a thumbs up. What's your insight on this? Whatever the case may be. Hitting the like button, the share, all that good stuff. It's empowering to this ministry. He's using you to nourish me. And in return, with me being nourished and energized, I can continue to nourish and energize you. So give back to this ministry. If it's beneficial to you at all, in whatever way, hitting the subscribe, the share, the like, thumbs up the video, leaving comments, monetary donation, in any way that the Spirit moves you to give back to this ministry. Give back to this ministry so that this ministry can continue to give back to you and others. That's what I got for you guys. I love you all. I value all of you guys. I really do. I'm always praying for you guys. I'm going to get out of here, but I encourage you guys as always, through and through, not just on a surface level type of thing, but through and through, from your center to your circumference, your actions, your deeds, your intentions. Always be that guy, always be that girl who prioritizes faith over fear, truth over tradition, love over lust, and people over profit. That's what I got for you guys. I love you all. I will see you on the next one. I am Brother Minister Mongoose, and I will holler back. Peace.